For this video, we're going to go through some more examples of finding the equation of the perpendicular bisector. And again, remember, there's really essentially 4 different steps here. We're first going to find the midpoint because we need to figure out what point in that segment my perpendicular bisector needs to go through, because I know it needs to go through exactly the middle of my segment. Next, I need to figure out the slope so I can figure out the perpendicular slope. And then I use that perpendicular slope and the midpoint to write the equation of the line. So looking at number 2, my first step is to find that midpoint. So I'm going to add my x's, so -5 plus 7 divided by 2. And then I'm going to add my y's, 2 plus 9 divided by 2. Well, -5 plus 7, I get 2 over 2. 2 plus 9, I get 11 over 2. And when I simplify that, 2 divided by 2, I get 1. And then I can't simplify 11 halves. So that was my first step. My second step is I need to figure out the slope. This time I'm going to go ahead and use the stacking method. So I have -5, 2, 7, 9. So just find the slope of the segment. So my first step here, I need to figure out how do I get from 2 to 9. Well, to get from 2 to 9, I need to add 7 to 2, because 2 plus 7 gets me 9. And then to get from -5 to 7, I need to add 12, because -5 plus 12 gets me 7. And so that means that my slope, which is my change in y over my change in x, is going to equal to 7 over 12. Now I need to figure out my perpendicular slope. So my slope here is 7 over 12. So my perpendicular slope is, first I need the opposite sign. So since this one's positive, my perpendicular slope is going to be negative. And then I need the reciprocal, so I need to flip that around. So this is going to be -12 over 7. And now I need to write the equation of the line. So I know the equation of my perpendicular bisector has a slope of -12/7. And then I know it goes to the point 1 11/2. So I'm going to plug that into my point slope formula. So I have y minus 11/2 is equal to -12/7 times x minus 1. 1. So I have y minus 11/2 is equal to, distribute that -12/7, and I get -12/7 x plus 12/7. And then I'm going to add 11/2 to both sides. And you can go ahead and use a calculator for these fractions. You can go to Desmos and it can do it for you. And when you add those fractions, you should get 101 over 14. And so this will be the equation of my perpendicular bisector. Okay, let's go through another example. First step, I need to find my midpoint. And so I need to add my x's, so I have 2 plus 8 over 2. And then my y's, 5 plus 3 over 2. 2 plus 8, I get 10 over 2. 5 plus 3, I get 8 over 2. 10 divided by 2, I get 5. And then 8 divided by 2, I get 4. So I got my first step. Second step, I need to figure out my slope. This time I'll go ahead and use that slope formula again. So now that's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And so if I label these x1, y1, x2, y2, y2 minus y1 is going to be 3 minus 5. x2 minus x1 is going to be 8 minus 2. 3 minus 5, I get -2. 8 minus 2, I get 6. And so when I simplify that out, I get a slope of negative 1/3. And now I need to find my perpendicular slope. So I have m is equal to negative 1/3. I know that my perpendicular slope is going to be the opposite sign. So since this one's negative, my perpendicular slope is going to be positive. And then I need to take the reciprocal of it. So 1/3 becomes 3/1, or in other words, just 3. And now I need to write the equation of this line. And so I know the slope is going to be 3, and then I know it needs to go through the point 54. So I'm going to use my point slope form. And so my y1 is 4, so I have y minus 4 is equal to 3 times x minus 5. Distribute my 3 and I get 3x minus 15. Then I'm going to add 4 to both sides. And so my answer becomes y is equal to 3x minus 11. Okay, go ahead and pause the video. I want you to try and work through number 4, start to finish. When you think you have it, go ahead and press play. So the answer you should have gotten is y equals negative 2/3 x plus 5. When I first found my midpoint, I got that my midpoint is 6, 1. And then when I figured out my slope, I got that my slope was 6/4. Or in other words, it was 3/2. And so that means that my perpendicular slope is going to be the opposite reciprocal of that, which is negative 2/3. And then lastly, I plugged in negative 2/3 for my slope and 6, 1 as my point. And when I simplified that out, I got this equation.